What's going on, everybody? We are looking at a pretty red day in the market. It is not just Bitcoin. It is not just the Bitcoin miners. Just about everything across the board is red, except for Apple. In all seriousness, we do have the Fed meeting. Their decision will be tomorrow, whether we get any rate cuts or not. We also have CPI coming out. We're going to talk about that. And we're basically just going to look over Bitcoin's chart. I'm going to talk about what's going on. If you guys get something useful out of this, make sure you like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and let's get started. Now, first off, I want to start with this clip. Basically talking about a potentially boring Fed meeting and what this strategist expects from it.
How aggressive of a cutting cycle are you anticipating as you look into and through the bond market?
Yeah, we still think there's a fair amount of just normalization in rates that can occur. So, the Fed, I think, is going to stay put tomorrow. It's going to be a pretty boring meeting, actually. I think it'll be interesting to see the economic projections that come out and how they change, if at all, from the March projections. But we really, as we get into 2025, we still have conviction the Fed's going to continue to see disinflation towards their target, and that'll allow that normalization more towards the neutral rate. I know we can debate whether that's 3 or 3.5, but that's a long ways from where we sit today. So right now, not a lot priced in for 2024, but we think that accelerates as we get into the back end of the year and the expectations for the first half of 25.
And you mentioned those economic projections. Part of that is the Federal Reserve's dot plot, which maps out where Fed officials think interest rates are going to be heading in the future. Do you expect more volatility in those dots? And there's also that overhanging question of, should markets put so much weight in the dots, considering that it is just a forecast?
It's great to look at on a chart, but ultimately we try to throw out the highs and the lows and see a little bit more where the broader consensus is on the FOMC, and I think that's a bit more telling. We don't really expect a huge change. The data was, the economic data earlier this year into their last meeting was a bit hotter. We've seen a little bit more balance to arguably even a little bit softer broad economic data the past month and a half or so. I know we had a good non-farm payrolls, but there's been other stuff in the labor market that shows a little bit more balance as well.
I'll leave the link to that down below for you if you want to watch the whole interview and read the article attached to it. But looking at CPI, what we have been seeing CPI in anywhere from the 3.5 to 3.1% range. Our forecast for the upcoming CPI tomorrow is expected to be at 3.4%. If we see anything under that, that would be a positive for the market. That would be a positive for the potential of future rate cuts. But the reality is CPI is still just range bound, stuck from 3.1 to 3.5%, not doing a whole lot, not getting anywhere closer to the Fed's 2% target. I think that 2% target will change. Inflation in the 2.5% range, maybe that's when the Fed starts cutting. Maybe the Fed cuts sooner if something does break. Speaking of Fed cuts, we also have 3 senators begging the Fed to cut rates. And here's their statement to the Fed. The Fed's monetary policy is not helping to reduce inflation. Indeed, it is driving up housing and auto insurance costs, 2 of the key drivers of inflation, threatening the health of the economy and risking a recession that could push thousands of American workers out of their jobs. You have kept interest rates too high for too long. It is time to cut rates. Looks like the pressure is on from the Fed. Is the Fed going to listen to the economy in this meeting and the next? Or is the Fed going to be swayed to lower these rates? I doubt we see anything change in the upcoming meeting. Things have definitely changed from the expectations that some had of 6 rate cuts this year. Now, I want to pull up Bitcoin. Of course, Bitcoin crypto is dropping as well. The Bitcoin miners are tanking, except for iren, who got a increased price target. But looking at Bitcoin, it does look like we went straight to our 50 MA, and then we are starting to bounce off of it. I expected this a little bit later. To me, there's a great chance to scoop up some Bitcoin. If you're bullish on Bitcoin for the rest of this cycle, you got to take advantage of these dips. Maybe we see a larger drop. Maybe we don't. Maybe we finally fail this 50 MA and this purple line here that we have used for quite a long time, since 2023. If we do break the 50 MA and this trend line, the market will likely react to it, and we could potentially test the low 60,000s. But if it doesn't happen, you have to take advantage of Bitcoin now. Maybe it drops more, maybe it doesn't. If you're bullish on Bitcoin, you take advantage of the pullbacks. I personally don't believe we're going to see the 60,000s for much longer. Maybe we see the 50,000s once more, maybe we don't. I personally think if we do happen to break this purple line and the red 50 MA here, our next zone to test would be the psychological 60,000. It was a previous support. That is if we break this ascending support and this 50 MA. And it does look like this bearish divergence played out. You'll see that we saw equal highs here. However, on the RSI, we saw lower highs. If you guys are interested, I'll leave you a divergence cheat sheet down below. And the market doesn't just follow the patterns on charts. The market doesn't just follow news out there. It's a combination of both. The market reacts to both the chart and to news. Maybe the market reacted to this bearish divergence, maybe it's just simply the Fed meeting, maybe it's a combination of both. I do believe it's a matter of time until we break this trend we've been in. We've been consolidating for quite a long time. We were recently in this long uptrend. We are still respecting this long uptrend. We have reacted on this line before. Like I said yesterday, we saw an accelerated move down when we broke it. We saw an accelerated move up when we broke back over it. The market will react to this purple line. The market, if we do break it, will probably react to a break of it and might bring this down lower. If you're bullish on Bitcoin, you take these last chance opportunities. In my opinion, based on where we're at in the cycle, we're still about halfway through. And you know what else caused this little bit of a pullback? This might be something contributing to it as well. US spot Bitcoin ETFs see the first 65 million in net outflows after a 19-day inflow streak. What's the big picture here? We had 19 days of inflow and we finally had 1 day of outflow, and that's going to bring a little bit of fear in Bitcoin along with the FOMC. I mean, there's, a basket of factors here. But if the market is bringing Bitcoin down because of this, that's ridiculous. Seeing that we're generally seeing inflows, to see an outflow day, you better take advantage of it. We had 4 billion in net inflows over that inflow streak. And since their inception in January, these ETFs, even with Grayscale selling, even with Grayscale losing half of their AUM, half of their Bitcoin on their balance, these spot Bitcoin ETFs have logged a total net inflow of $15.62 billion. This is going to continue. They are going to continue to bring net inflows. Well, in this video with CleanSpark, most of the miners are tanking. Like I said, except for iren, who received an increased price target. I would be cautious with that. While I'm bullish on iren on the long term, I'll be careful with these price targets. Seems like the market loves to give these bullish price targets when stocks are in huge uptrends like iren, which has run over 100% in a month. And when stocks are dropping, analysts love to bring these bearish price targets. Keep in mind, they have money involved. They have a reason to give these price targets. My point is just be cautious. While I'm bullish on iren on the long term, and I too believe iren can be a $20 stock by the end of the cycle, perhaps even more, it wouldn't be in the least surprising. But my point is, for a stock like iren, just be cautious when something runs like that. We saw something similar with CleanSpark. We saw a great earnings. This was well under $10. We had a breakaway gap. These gaps are less likely to fill. We did see a huge gap from like 10 to 12. We have not filled it yet. I personally doubt we're going to fill it. I personally expect that this 14 will hold up, but just in case it doesn't, you might want to place some limit buy orders because you never know. But lately, CleanSpark has been in this chop. It's been in this tight range for a couple months now. And in history, buying down at this level has played out to be a great decision. If you want to go in with a swing, you could definitely do that. If you want to load up for the rest of this cycle, this would be the time to do so. But my point is we saw a big move just like iren saw. We saw a huge move from CleanSpark on great earnings. Everyone was bullish. Everyone thought CleanSpark was going much higher, and then what happened? Well, once it topped out, the market brought CleanSpark down 41%. The same doesn't necessarily have to happen with iren, but just keep in mind, these crypto stocks are volatile. There will be times when the market favors them and pushes them to much higher levels than they were previously, and then the market does pull them back. The same might not happen with iren, but just exercise caution. There are a lot of other Bitcoin miners that, in my opinion, are great buys right now. They're reaching important support zones. Many are down 30, 40, 50% from their top. I would prefer to chase stocks like this personally than something like iren. But make no mistake, I am bullish on iren for the rest of the cycle. While I would look for a bit of a pullback for iren, you could definitely add here. If you're looking to the peak of the Bitcoin cycle, or if you're looking over the next 5-10 years, iren is definitely still a great buy. If you're looking short term, if you're looking a month, 2 months out, I would be very cautious with iren. And I would probably be looking at some of the other Bitcoin miners. But from CleanSpark's run that it made on that good earnings, after that breakaway gap, it has retraced in the past to the 0.5, and then it goes and runs. We're at the 0.5 now. Maybe we come down to the 0.618. But to me, these are the buying opportunities to buy the stocks you love long term. When something like a CleanSpark is down 40%. I wasn't going to bring up btbt, but I'll show you guys this as well. It has been in an uptrend. It is still respecting its ascending support even with this drop. So keep an eye on this ascending channel. We did recently break out of this descending wedge, and btbt to me is looking pretty good. We've been setting higher lows, setting higher highs. We have been continuing this nice uptrend. We're now over the 50 and the 200 MA. I do think once we see a golden cross on Bit Digital, this could bring more buying pressure. I believe we just need a little more uptrend, and we will see this 50 and 200 MA cross. Keep in mind, they are lagging indicators. The 50 MA should start curling up from this move we had here. If we don't fall dramatically, if we trade sideways, if we get a slight positive gain from here, I would expect these moving averages to flip, give us a golden cross, and it'll be the last golden cross until the bear market. And just look at iron's long-term pattern. We come up, we rip, then we retrace. We come up, we rip, then we retrace. We are here at the top of this ascending channel. Maybe we break out of it and continue ripping. Maybe this is the top here and we start retracing. Like I said, I would be cautious here. On this move we had a 150% move. Like I said, I'm bullish on iron for the long term, but when something moves like this, there is a retracement. Every time iron's RSI has gotten here, ever since January of 2023, we have seen a retracement. I would expect that. The market might keep pushing it. It might keep squeezing. But just know at this point you are chasing. I do think we'll see some better prices for iron. If not, I'm just going to hold what I have and let it keep riding. But I wouldn't chase something like iron when you have stocks like CleanSpark, Bit Digital, Mara, Riot. All of these stocks haven't really been pumping lately. I would much rather get into something like that than something like an iron that has around 150% in about a month. How do you guys feel about today? Are you taking advantage of it? Are you buying your favorite Bitcoin miners, your favorite cryptos, your favorite unrelated to Bitcoin stocks? Today would be a great day to take advantage of it. Maybe we see another red day tomorrow with the Fed meeting, but I would personally jump on a day like today. And also, how do you guys feel about iron? Do you think it's going to keep ripping, or do you think we'll see a retracement? Thanks as always for watching, guys. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time.